Thank you everybody for coming today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Ethan and I'm the general manager of the Detroit Cobalions, which is a Pokemon Draft League organization. We here at HardCap Games Group are very pleased to be standing before you today with important updates regarding our future as an organization. As some of you may know, the Detroit Cobalions got their start this past summer in a league known as the AFG, also known as the Amber Flight Gaming League. This is an American esports organization that decided they were going to host through their own Discord server a Pokemon Draft League. Me and a couple of my other friends and colleagues were very excited to be given the opportunity to jump into this draft league. We were very eager to move into competitive Pokemon, and we joined this group with high hopes during their inaugural season. The Cobalions had what most would consider to be a very polarizing first season. The Cobalions started off very strong with a 6-0 victory over Coach AFG Dragon Rider, the CEO of AFG. This was a matchup of first-time battlers in competitive Pokemon, and from that point on, the season really only went downhill, only securing one more victory, plus one preemptive forfeit for the last week of the season. The Cobalions finished 3-4 with a negative kills differential, even with that 6-0 start. And those 4 losses felt, in my honest opinion, as the chairman of this organization, frankly embarrassing. As a result, I stand before you today to announce several things. First and foremost, the Cobalions have elected to not return for a second season in the AFG. The AFG's second season has already begun, and I highly encourage you to go check out their content to go see what they have going on. I will link their commissioner, Neji Boston, in the description of this video when it goes live. Coach HardCap can be quoted as saying, "I found as the season went on that I was committing more and more time to it, and I wasn't getting the results I was looking for. I think that what ends up happening is that I need to take some time and learn the game before I dive into a more competitive one like this was," in reference to the league. Coach HardCap and I, Ethan, determined that we should take some time and learn the game more. So we did just that. We informed the AFG we would not return for another season, sat back, and began to do some research. Within a week of this announcement to the AFG, I received a message from Fataliss Plays Games, another YouTuber in the Pokemon sphere, that simply said, "Do you want to do a draft league?" Fataliss is an individual I have known for quite some time at this point, and when he asked me in essence to be a co-commissioner for his league that he wanted to run, I knew that this was the opportunity I was looking for. We went into this creative process with the explicit intent of making this a league for beginners to learn what it means to be a draft league. We wanted to keep it light. We want to keep it as uncompetitive as possible, while still also having a competitive aspect to it, because it is still Pokemon. We began recruiting people, starting with other YouTubers and spreading out into the greater Pokemon community. We began developing our draft board and waited for the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet DLC to release before we began drafting just this past Saturday. Folks, I am very, very excited to announce to you that the Detroit Cobalions are back as a founding member of the Fataliss Pokemon League, better known as the FPL. Fataliss and myself, along with 14 other coaches, are ready to show you what we have. Without further delay, I have been tasked with introducing to you the roster of the Detroit Cobalions, the first league of the Teal Mask DLC, the second ever Detroit Cobalions iteration, and the squad we will be rolling with for this season. The Cobalions selected 13th in the Serpentine-style draft, which we were not especially enthusiastic about. Within the confines of this draft, no Pokemon 16 points or higher was eligible to serve as the Terra Captain, along with a few other selective Pokemon. We sat back and waited for our first pick to fall to us with a little bit of a plan going into it, but nothing too crazy. However, we were very shocked and excited when our first pick of the draft fell all the way to us. We believed that this Pokemon would be a top 10 pick for sure, and to see it sitting there at 13 for us kind of blew us away. This Pokemon is, of course, the Dragon and Ice type pseudo-legendary Pokemon Baxcalibur. At 17 points, we felt that Baxcalibur was an absolute steal, even right here in the first round. This Pokemon is a great Dragon Dancer, it has a sky-high attack, and it has pretty solid bulk to go along with it, meaning Baxcalibur is going to serve as our physical attack focal point. Coming back for the second round, the Cobalions were very conflicted between two Pokemon. We entered into this draft thinking that what was going to end up happening was we would draft two Pokemon in our first round, but obviously Baxcalibur was not a part of that plan. So we come back around and we're looking at what is still on the board in the higher tiers, and we were stuck between the two Pokemon that we originally wanted to draft. We determined that one of them would end up being more useful to our team than the other, just based on what it brings to us. So the second Pokemon that we selected in the draft was Clefable. Now, even though Clefable has lost the move Soft Boiled, Clefable has remarkable special bulk. It is an absolute menace to take off the field, and it still has a ton of utility that is able to use as a specially defensive backbone to our team, meaning we have now paired an offensive and defensive Pokemon together. In the third round, when it comes back to us again at the 13th pick, we were even more shocked than when Baxcalibur fell to us in the first, because the other Pokemon that we were conflicted with taking versus Clefable was still on the board, much to our surprise. Everyone please give a warm welcome to the Bug Fire type Pokemon, Volcarona. Volcarona is a special attacker with a decently high special defense and a decently high speed tier of 110 and 100 respectively. And it has access to arguably the best setup move in the game, Quiver Dance. This Pokemon is a formidable adversary that every team has to respect, or else they're just gonna let him cook. Now in the fourth round, this is where we stopped necessarily having a plan and just started picking for pieces that felt right. I wanted a Pokemon that was physically defensive and had the ability to absolutely halt a game's progress with its defensive ability. So when the Rock-type Pokemon Garganacl was on the board in the fourth round, I knew I had to pick it up. It has sky-high defense, HP, and special defense, and its ability Purifying Salt is almost too good to be true. Additionally, I would like to announce that Garganacl will be serving as our Terra Captain with the typings of Rock and Ghost. The rules for Terra Captains in this league are that one of the Terra types for your captain must be a stab typing. So if we had chosen Volcarona, for example, to be our Terra Captain, it would either have to be Terra Bug or Terra Fire, and one other type, it doesn't matter which one. Garganacl, being a Terra Rock and a Terra Ghost Pokemon, makes it one tough salt lick to crack. In round 5, we began to look at a variety of options to fit one role on our team, the bulky Water type. We tormented between a few that were still on the board and ultimately landed on Slowking. The reason we chose Slowking over Milotic was really one thing, which is that Slowking has access to the move Chilly Reception, a slow pivot move that sets the snow up for Baxcalibur, while also having the ability Regenerator. I was really stuck between choosing one or the other between Slowking and Milotic, but I'm very encouraged by the bulk that Slowking possesses. It makes him an absolute demon when utilized correctly, and we hope to capitalize on his ability to really prolong games and set up the rest of our teammates for the most amount of success. On the way back around, I then looked for a grass type, and the best Pokemon on the board, in our opinion, was none other than the grass fighting type Chestnut. Once again, we are adding remarkable natural bulk onto the team, and despite it having a 4x weakness to flying, Chestnut has the ability to break through nearly every wall that sits in its way, with strong grass and fighting type moves, some great physical coverage, as well as access to the move Spiky Shield, also known as Superior Protect. Now, unfortunately for us, we had gone very top heavy at the beginning of this draft and only had 33 points remaining with only 6 Pokemon selected. That means we had 33 points to choose between 3 and 5 Pokemon to fill out our 9 to 11 total, but we still had a lot of roles to fill on the team. Most crucially, I still needed a Spin Blocker, Defogger, Grounded Poison type Rapid Spinner, a Flying or Levitate Pokemon, and a Steel type. And we had 33 points to piece that all together. Our next pick, I decided to prioritize getting some speed. And it was with this pick that we selected the fire flying type Pokemon Talonflame. Now I was heavily going between Talonflame and Kilowattrel at this point, but we chose Talonflame over Kilowattrel because of the utility that Talonflame brings. Talonflame has access to the moves Will-O-Wisp, Taunt, Defog, Tailwind, U-Turn, and Swords Dance, most of which Kilowattrel just doesn't learn or have comparable moves. Additionally, Talonflame is 1 point faster than Kilowattrel, sitting at 126, outspeeding other Pokemon like Weavile, Noivern, Greninja, and Meowscarada. While none of its other stats are frankly all that impressive, it does have the ability Gale Wing, which means that all of its flying type moves have +1 priority as long as Talonflame is still at full health. His speed allows him to clean up late game with some priority and really just close out some matches for us. With pick 8, we decided to keep with the speed trend and go get the ground poison type Pokemon Gengar. Gengar has a great speed tier of 110, it outspeeds or speeds ties with some of its toughest competition. Its 130 special attack means it's always going to hit hard and hit fast. However, its defenses and HP are really low, so it means it's not really going to stick around on the field for too long when it does come. Being a grounded poison type, no longer having access to the ability Levitate, means that he does fill the role of that grounded poison type, and as a ghost type, he does block Rapid Spin. Now, as we entered the final stages of our draft, we now only had 9 points remaining to fill out between 1 and 3 Pokemon. We still crucially needed a few pieces, so we opted to go low. With our 9th pick, we selected the ground type Pokemon Sandslash. Sandslash is really the only ground type Pokemon left on the board that is at a points level that we can feasibly work with only 9 points remaining. He's also the only ground type Pokemon left on the board at this point that knows the move Rapid Spin, which makes him very valuable to us in that regard. However, Sandslash does leave a lot to be desired. His attack is a respectable 100 and his defense is 110, but he's really only operational under Sandstorm, where he gets to use Sand Rush to double his speed, and we don't have Sandstorm on the team aside from manually setting it up. But at least Game Freak decided a few generations ago to give him real moves. I can't exactly speak on how many times we're going to see Rapid Spin Sandslash come over Talonflame with Defog. However, I think that Sandslash still has some use to us. With our next pick, we selected the Pokemon Murkrow. Now, Murkrow is very interesting because he has decent attack stats and a speed of 91, which isn't too bad, but his defenses are just horrible. Where Murkrow does shine, though, is having the ability Prankster and a plethora of setup moves that it can use to its advantage. Additionally, its other ability is Super Luck, which raises the critical hit ratio by 1 stage, and it knows several moves able to utilize this ability. Our final pick in the draft, we selected Sliggoo Hisui. Now, this Pokemon has an absurdly high special defense stat for a not fully evolved Pokemon, and when paired with an item like the Eviolite, it has the ability to stay on the field for a shocking amount of time. Sliggoo also does get some great coverage moves and even can play as a special bulky wall with Rest and Sleep Talk to back it up. All in all, we are very excited about all that the FPL has to offer. Every week on this channel and on Fataliss' channel, there will be full game commentary for our game here and a weekly recap of the action around the league between me and Fataliss. And I have linked his channel in the comments of this announcement video. We will watch the replay for every game and give our commentary on it live on YouTube on Sundays, turned into videos a little bit later. If you are as excited as we are for this league, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and go subscribe to Fataliss while you're at it. I'm sure he greatly appreciates it as well. I am very eager to get back into Draft League Pokemon, take another stab at this, keep working at this craft so that one day we can say that we are the champions. And with that being said, thanks so much for watching, everybody. My name is Ethan. This has been HardCap Games Group, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.